Dawn stretches across the African savanna, and beneath the sprawling canopy of an ancient baobab tree, a small group of early humans begins to stir. There are no towering limestone cliffs to provide shelter, no protective caves offering refuge from rain or wind. Yet, for countless generations, humans have thrived in these open landscapes, crafting ingenious shelters from the raw materials that nature generously provides. Contrary to the familiar image of our ancestors huddled in dimly lit caves, human creativity and resourcefulness flourished long before caves were even an option. So, what did early humans do during the millions of years before caves became a part of their lives? How did they transform the open wilderness into safe, functional homes? When most people envision prehistoric humans, the picture is almost always the same. Fur-clad figures crouched around flickering fires within cave mouths, shadows dancing across jagged stone walls. This iconic caveman stereotype is so deeply embedded in our culture that we rarely question it. However, archaeological evidence tells a very different story. Suitable caves were exceedingly rare. For the majority of human history, our ancestors lived fully exposed to the elements, yet they thrived nonetheless. The proof is literally etched in stone. Across Africa, the cradle of humanity, archaeological discoveries reveal a narrative that challenges the cave-centric view of early life. At Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, a site that has yielded traces of human activity dating back 2 million years, researchers have uncovered extensive evidence of occupation, despite the near absence of caves. More remarkable still, these sites reveal the earliest constructed shelters in human history. The story begins with Homo habilis, our first tool-making ancestors. Living on the open plains of East Africa, they faced a monumental challenge: how to protect themselves in environments where natural shelter was non-existent. The solution they developed was both simple and revolutionary. Using only stones and branches, they built the world's first artificial shelters. At sites such as DK1 and Olduvai Gorge, archaeologists Mary and Louis Leakey documented circular arrangements of stones dating back 1.8 million years. These were far from random. The stones were deliberately transported from distant locations and arranged in carefully planned oval formations, approximately 12 feet across. Analysis suggests these stone circles served as foundations for windbreaks constructed from thorny acacia branches, providing protection against the elements. As humans spread across continents, they encountered increasingly diverse and challenging environments. In the windswept grasslands of Eurasia, they developed a deep understanding of the terrain, learning to identify natural depressions that could be converted into sleeping areas and selecting tree species that offered the strongest and most durable frameworks. Their adaptability was extraordinary. One particularly impressive innovation arose in forested regions. Archaeological evidence from Bielsingslaben in Germany, dating to around 400,000 years ago, reveals the construction of elevated tree platforms. Early humans selected living trees with ideal branch structures and modified them to create safe sleeping platforms, elevated above ground predators and seasonal flooding. The engineering involved was sophisticated. Tool marks on preserved wooden artifacts show a keen understanding of weight distribution, while smaller branches were woven into mats and roofs crafted from leaves and bark. Plant fiber cordage, twisted by hand, held the structures together. In regions where trees were scarce, early humans became ingenious earthworkers. On the steppes of Central Asia, archaeologists uncovered underground sleeping chambers at Kostroma, Russia, dating back 800,000 years. These were not mere holes in the ground, but carefully excavated oval chambers, lined with grass. As humans ventured further into diverse landscapes, their shelters evolved in complexity and sophistication. In regions where even trees were scarce, ingenuity reached new heights. On the vast, treeless steppes of Central Asia, early humans transformed the landscape itself into a home. Excavations at Kostroma, Russia, reveal subterranean chambers dating back 800,000 years. These were not crude pits, but carefully engineered ovals, up to 6 feet deep and 10 feet across. Wooden digging sticks and flat stones served as tools, while the excavated earth was strategically piled around the perimeter to create windbreaks. Inside, walls were lined with grasses and hides to prevent collapse. and overhead, bent saplings supported woven grass mats that could be easily removed for entry and ventilation. Meanwhile, in coastal and desert regions, humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability. Along shore, driftwood and seaweed were used to construct dome-shaped huts, anchored by stones and shells, offering protection against wind and salt spray. In arid deserts, where resources were sparse, date palm fronds became roofing material, dried grasses provided insulation, and clay-rich soils ensured waterproofing. Each environment demanded a unique solution, and early humans responded with creativity and precision. A breakthrough in standardized shelter construction occurred at dmanisi in Georgia, where 1.8-million-year-old semi-permanent settlements suggest early humans returned to the same sites season after season. Here, a modular system was employed. Wooden poles cut to standardized lengths were stored in underground caches, ready to be assembled into frameworks using pre-dug post holes. Hide coverings, likewise stored in pits, could be stretched over the frames to form weather-tight shelters within hours. This sophisticated approach reflects remarkable cognitive foresight. Early humans weren't merely reacting to immediate threats. They planned for future needs, developing repeatable solutions that could be deployed across different locations. Even when humans began occupying caves in some regions, the preference for constructed shelters persisted. Caves presented numerous challenges. Dampness, poor ventilation, and the presence of predators made them less ideal than purpose-built shelters. Archaeological evidence at Kesem Cave in Israel, dating to 400,000 years ago, shows that early inhabitants extensively modified the cave interior, creating walls, elevated sleeping platforms, and activity zones, adapting the natural environment to suit their needs rather than relying on it as is. The knowledge required to build these shelters was specialized and sophisticated. Modern experiments demonstrate that creating a stable, weather-resistant shelter from natural materials and simple tools demands extensive understanding of local ecology, seasonal cycles, and construction techniques. This knowledge was carefully transmitted across generations, forming one of humanity's first technological traditions. Tool marks on wooden artifacts reveal regional variations. Bamboo forests demanded different lashing methods than deciduous woodlands, while coastal groups developed distinct water-resistant treatments compared to inland populations. These differences represent the earliest known examples of human cultural diversity. Socially, pre-cave shelter construction fostered cooperation and community. Large shelters required multiple individuals to contribute specialized skills, encouraging coordination and collective effort. Sites like Schöningen in Germany, dating to 400,000 years ago, show that construction zones often doubled as centers for tool manufacturing, food processing, and social interaction. Working together to build homes not only ensured survival, but also strengthened social bonds, a foundation for complex human societies. Climate fluctuations also influence the choice of shelters. During ice ages, the benefits of natural caves, protection from